Today we're going to talk about finding the least common multiple between numbers. And the first thing that we need to make sure of is that we understand the language. L, standing for least, means the first or lowest multiple. Common, meaning you have to be comparing at least two numbers. And multiple, meaning a product of two or more factors. So if we break down those words, we then understand we are trying to find the smallest number that two other numbers have in common. So there are a couple of ways that we can solve this. The first way we can solve it is by listing the multiples of the numbers that we're comparing and find the first one that they have in common. So if I were to do this with 5 and 6, and I start out by listing the multiples of 5, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 times 4. The problem is when I use this strategy, I'm really not sure exactly where I should stop. If I start listing then the multiples of 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30, coincidentally, I ended up finding the common multiple. Another strategy would be to just think about or list the multiples of the larger number, which is going to be fewer multiples than the lesser number, and ask myself every time I list a multiple if the other factor goes evenly into that number. So does 5 go evenly into 6? No. Does 5 go evenly into 12? No. Does 5 go evenly into 18? No. 24? No. And finally we get to 30 and we notice that 5 does go evenly into 30. So the least common multiple in this case does happen to be the product of 5 times 6. In our second example, if we're comparing three numbers and we're trying to find the least common multiple between three numbers, I am going to use the strategy of listing the multiples of the greatest of the three factors and asking myself whether the other two factors go in evenly. 10 times 1 is 10. 5 does go in evenly, but 4 does not. 20, 5 goes in evenly and 4 goes in evenly, so I found it. I could also go back to the other strategy of listing my multiples of 4 and just continue going until I find one that all three numbers have in common. So the least common multiple between 4, 5, and 10 equals 20. The least common multiple between 5 and 6 equals 30.